So these particular seeds came from an 18-pound, 1-ounce onion. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having a wonderful day. It is Thursday, September 21st here in South Georgia. And on today's video, we're going to first check on some of our seedlings here in the greenhouse. Got a lot of things popping in here. Then I've got some world record onion seeds that we're going to plant. I'll tell you about those. After that, I've got more onions here that I probably shouldn't try to grow here, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to tell you about this little onion rabbit hole I'm headed down. So in the greenhouse here, we've got our brassicas that we started first. Those are almost ready to go in the ground. Then we've got our tray of lettuce that we started about a week and a half ago. Got really good fast germination on these seeds. I think we got a seedling in almost every single cell there. I've already started fertilizing these, pushing them, trying to get them ready. And then the last thing we planted in here were these 3 trays of onions, and we got some ridiculously fast germination on these. Now when we did that video talking about growing your own onion plants and we got those seeds started, I told you that you should expect onions to take about 7 to 10 days to germinate. Well, these here were up in about 3 days. Not all of them, but we were starting to see green sprouts in just 3 days. I guess our conditions in here were just right, or maybe those are just some really good onion seeds. I don't know. I wouldn't always expect them to germinate that fast. Usually it's closer to 7 days, but I'm not complaining about some fast germination here. Now on that last video, we were talking about how these things look and flip out of the soil once they sprout. Now that we've got some doing it, I can show you what I mean. So when onion seedlings emerge, they'll emerge in this little arch right here. And if you've never grown onions, you might think, what's going on here? So that's normal. They'll emerge that little arch there, and then one end of that seedling will flip out. That one there is starting to flip out a little bit. These here have already flipped. A lot of times the seed capsule will stay attached at the top. I usually don't pull them off. You can if you want to, if it's really bothering you. They'll get taken off when we give them our first haircut here in a couple weeks. Now, even though these are tiny and just starting to come up, I've already started feeding them. You can kind of see the brown tint on our perlite there. That's from the AgriThrive in that bucket that we've been injecting through our watering system. If you're using a synthetic fertilizer, I don't know that you'd want to start fertilizing them this soon, but I know I can get away with it using that AgriThrive. Even though we've got more than enough onion plants growing in the greenhouse there, I've got a few more seeds in this packet right here that I need to get planted. So I forgot I had these until my buddy Ryan over at Heavenly Hills Homestead reminded me the other day. He acquired these seeds from the former world record holder. I think he was in England, maybe it was Scotland, Ireland, somewhere over there across the pond. This guy named Peter Glazebrook owned the world record for onions for a while. I think it was just broken a few days ago. So these particular seeds came from an 18-pound, 1-ounce onion. Now England or the United Kingdom obviously has a completely different climate than South Georgia. I don't know if I'm going to be able to grow as big an onion as those guys do with this particular line of seeds, but since we've got our hands on some of them, we might as well give it a try. So from my understanding, these giant onion seeds are from an intermediate day variety called Elisa Craig, which is known for growing some pretty big onions. I've never grown intermediate day onions down here, only short day onions, but maybe we can make it work. We're going to plant these at the same time we do our short day onions. What should happen is these should just start bulbing later than the short day onions will. Short day onions are going to start bulbing when day length reaches 10 to 12 hours. These should not start bulbing until day length reaches 12 to 14 hours. Now, we start getting real hot in mid to late spring. Will that affect these onions here? Only time will tell. But we won't know unless we try. Now it doesn't feel like there's an overwhelming amount of onion seeds in this little packet here, so we're just going to use this little 24 cell tray and see how far we get with the seeds are in this packet. Ryan also sent me some giant celery seeds, so if we run out of onion seeds before the whole tray is planted, we're going to plant some of those giant celery seeds too. Well, we got 4 seeds there. Guess these world record seeds are kind of hard to come by. We don't want to drop any of those, so we'll just put one seed per cell here. Hopefully at least one of them germinates. But it looks like we've got plenty of these giant celery seeds here, so we'll be able to finish out the rest of this tray. And as always, we need to cover them up with some of this good old Go Dogs perlite. All right, giant onions, I'm counting on you. Just give me one out of those 4 there. We'll see what we can do. So we've got those giant intermediate day onions that we probably shouldn't try to grow down here. And then a couple days ago, I received these, which we probably shouldn't try to grow down here, but we're going to do it anyway. So over the last month or so, I have quickly become enamored with perennial onions. We've got these Louisiana evergreen shallots growing and multiplying. And we've got these Egyptian walking onions that are starting to fill out the row and take off. And a couple days ago, I stumbled upon this little chapter from a book online about the history of perennial onions and kind of where they all originated. Now I've browsed through this, but I got to read over it again. It's kind of a thick read. Some really good information in here. I'll try to remember to put a link in the comments below, but if I forget, just remind me in the comments and I'll add a link. So in addition to those Louisiana evergreen shallots and the Egyptian walking onions, there's a bunch of other perennial onions out there that originated from all over the world, and I got to thinking, well, maybe I can source some of these and have a bunch of different kinds of perennial onions growing, and then we can kind of compare and contrast them, see how they differ. So I started digging around online, and I had to dig pretty deep. We're talking 4th or 5th page of Google results here. And I found a couple sellers for some different types of perennial onions. A few of them were on Etsy. A few others were on some less than reputable looking websites. I hope I actually get what I ordered. But anyway, I ordered a bunch of different stuff. Haven't gotten it all in yet, but I did get one of them in. So these are tater onions, or I guess we should call them potato onions. And this is another type of multiplying onion. It's an heirloom that used to be really popular, really commonly grown on homesteads all over the place, and then they kind of fell off and lost popularity at some point. So these potato onions, aka nesting onions, aka multiplying onions, should grow pretty similarly to those Louisiana evergreen shallots we have over there. These things supposedly store pretty well, and flavor wise they got a little bit of a bite to them. Now these things are said to be cold hardy down to zone 4, but the kicker is these are listed as long day onions. Several of the websites I saw that had information about these said that they don't grow well in South Texas or Florida. And while we're definitely not in South Texas, we are pretty close to Florida. So if these are long day onions like all those websites suggested, these are not going to form the little bulb or shallot until day length reaches 14 to 16 hours. I'm not sure that we ever get to 14 or 16 hours down here. Maybe we do. If we do, it's going to be terribly hot when that time comes around. So what I'm thinking may happen here, we're going to plant these today. They should grow fine throughout the winter and well into next spring. I expect them to multiply as they should, but I don't know that they're ever going to form these little bulbs right here. It might get too hot for them. They might go to seed before they actually form the little shallots. Only time will tell, and as I told you earlier, there's only one way to find out. And I've got the perfect place to plant some right here in this long skinny bed that we cleaned up and amended several videos ago. Just as a side note, y'all remember that Savannah mustard we planted on that video? Looky there, it's coming up nice. It's off to the races now. Now since we already amended this, put down some coop grow, put down some mushroom compost, and put down some of this wood chip compost, really not a whole lot to do. I got a few little sweet tater sprigs in here I'm gonna get out. And I've got a fresh new set of non-rusty staples I'm gonna put down just to kind of hold my drip tape in place. That way we can plant a nice straight double row. Then we're gonna start pushing some of these little tater onions down into the dirt. A lot of these already have a little green sprout on them, so these should take off pretty fast. Just gonna plant them with the pointy end up about 4 or 5 inches apart there. So just like we did with the shallots and the Egyptian walking onions, we'll plant on both sides of our tape here. And if we have any left over after doing this drip line and this drip line, I'll probably just put the rest of them down the center here. They'll probably still grow just fine. All right, so we planted that whole bag there. After I finished those 2 double rows, I just started sticking them all over the place in that bed. May not look very organized once they all come up. That'll be all right. So that makes 3 different types of perennial onions we have growing in here at the moment, and hopefully more to come. Now, when and if I get those other perennial onions in the mail, I'll be sure to show them to you, tell you more about them, and eventually maybe we'll have about 8 to 10 different varieties of perennial onions growing around here, not necessarily in this plot, but somewhere on our property. We can kind of compare and contrast. Some of them make bulbs, some of them look more like bunching onions or spring onions. They're all pretty cool, and the fact that they're perennials means it's a nice sustainable food source. And let me know in the comments below, 1, if you've even ever heard of potato onions, or tater onions as I like to call them. And 2, if you have heard of them or have grown them, tell me how crazy I am for trying to grow them down here. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Don't forget to check out our affiliate links and coupon codes in the description below, and also go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com, where we do still have some of those Egyptian walking onions in stock. And if you missed that video where we talked about growing your own onion plants and how to do that, you can check that out right here. Lots of great information on that video to teach you how to grow your own onion transplants. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.